The European stint is over and Formula One is once again headed east for the Singapore Grand Prix, so it's time to tell you everything that you need to know about the Singapore Grand Prix this weekend, and of course give you my predictions for the race come Sunday. As a street circuit, overtaking is very difficult, and it will be all about qualifying on the Saturday basically, and getting that tyre strategy right come Sunday, and basically just maintaining your position. The first race here was in 2008, although the less said about that race, the better. If you don't know about it, Google Crashgate, you'll be entertained for hours upon end, and it was the first nighttime race in Formula One's history, and the cars under the lights, I have to say, is just absolutely stunning. Last year saw an interesting, if fairly uneventful race. The team started off on the intermediate tyres, but struggled to overtake even once the track had started to dry, and maybe most surprisingly, it saw Max Verstappen make a mistake and finish in 7th place, but don't worry, Sergio Perez in the other Red Bull conquered a street circuit once again, and won just ahead of the two Ferraris behind. In contrast to Monza, which is all about top speed, Singapore is the second slowest track on the calendar, even with its new track layout, and the new Singapore Grand Prix will see 62 laps of the 4.49km track, which used to be 23 corners, now only 19, but still consists of 3 DRS zones. It's a twisty street circuit, it's very narrow at times. Undoubtedly we'll see somebody in the wall at some point, and we'll see teams bring in their highest downforce packages once again, so in complete contrast to Monza, but the final sector has been adapted to be slightly easier on the tyres this year, which means Pirelli have opted to keep it interesting and choose the softest available compounds, the C3, C4 and C5, with the intermediate tyres and wet tyres available of course as well. The new layout should allow the tyres to cool a lot more, so there'll be a lot less thermal degradation on the tyres, and because it's a street circuit, there's minimal tyre wear as well. And so last year where we saw one-stop strategies, intermediates onto soft compound tyres, I think we might see a few drivers go for a really long strategy this time around, maybe even that kind of zero stop that we see where drivers pit as late as they possibly can into the Grand Prix, especially because the weather looks very stable over the weekend, as we saw some intermediate tyre running last year. Very unlikely to see the same this time around, as we can see 28, 29 degrees, even though it's a night race, which is absolutely insane, but a very, very low chance of rain throughout all of the sessions, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, but so incredibly hot, and that's why it's seen as one of the most physically challenging races for the drivers of the entire season. Moving into the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull could actually take home the Constructors' Championship win this weekend. Red Bull have to get a 1-2 and Mercedes not score any points, or Red Bull get a 1-2 and the fastest lap, and Mercedes only score 1 point. So Red Bull need Mercedes to basically have an absolutely terrible weekend. Very unlikely that that will happen, but possible for Red Bull to take home the championship this weekend. Aston Martin will be looking to take third back from Ferrari, as the Aston Martin car much more suited to this track, and Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri will have Haas in their sights, as both of them are bringing new upgrades, whereas Haas are not. The Alonso versus Hamilton battle for third place will continue. Russell will back himself to get back ahead of the Ferraris, as the Ferrari should be a little bit less optimized this weekend compared to the Mercedes car. Then of course we've got that 9th through 12th place battle. We've got Gasly, Ocon, Piastri all having Stroll in their sights, and actually I think this weekend will be good for Alpine, so they might be able to actually get even closer to Lance Stroll in 9th place. And of course Nico Hulkenberg will be under pressure, because that Haas car just looks worse and worse on race pace every single weekend, and especially because the tyre degradation here is very, very important, whereas Bottas, Tsunoda, Zhou might be in for some points this weekend. Moving on to my winners and losers, the Monza track just really wasn't made for the Aston Martin car, but they have a great car when it comes to low-speed corners, and they excel through the twisty sections, especially on exit of slow-speed corners, so I feel like they could do well this weekend. McLaren have also excelled at higher downforce tracks where the top speed is less important. Again, we saw them really struggle in Monza, but they also have struggled with their tyres, and I'm a little bit worried, but I think this new layout will kind of work in their favour, so I'm going to go for McLaren having a good weekend. And then I feel like the losers, it will probably be Ferrari. They'll probably be slower than the Mercedes, Aston Martin and McLaren cars once again, even though they did manage to pick up that podium in Monza. And then of course Haas as well, I have to throw in there. As I said, AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo bring in upgrades, but Haas aren't bringing their upgrades until Austin, so it's going to be another couple of weekends where Haas look really, really slow. Therefore, my podium, he's got 10 in a row. Why not 11 in a row? I'm going to go for Max Verstappen at the top of the tree, although I feel like if there is one race where Sergio Perez might be able to excel, it's on these street circuits, and we're at a street circuit. although I haven't put him in my top 3 because I'm backing McLaren to be in the fight with the Red Bulls in terms of qualifying and then hold on to their position come race day on Sunday. Maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic. It is my favourite track on the calendar. It's literally right behind me, but I feel like Norris and Piastri can have a really good weekend for the McLaren team. I'd love to know your thoughts though. Let me know your predictions in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, I'll also put together a video on my problem with the cost cap right now. So click that link and I'll see you over there.